Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Barbecue Talk. On today's episode, we talk to a top 5 barbecue restaurant. As you guys know, I have a pretty good relationship with a lot of barbecue restaurant people, whether it's places that I've actually worked at, places that I've been able to kind of meet along the way, whether I've met them at festivals, if I've just gone to their restaurant quite a bit because I like their place and I like their food and I like the individuals there. Something that I thought would be interesting is to have a barbecue talk with those individuals and be able to hear a little bit more about their own story, what they offer, what they might do differently in this barbecue circle, and as well as just trying to get to know the person and what inspires them to do this type of cooking because it is so different. So on this episode in particular, not only am I talking to one of the owners at LeRoy and Lewis, but I'm talking to Sawyer Lewis, who is a little bit different than most people that I'll probably talk to on this platform. I also think her role in this barbecue circle is really, really big because there's not that many females that we really notice or give attention to, and she's definitely one of those people that definitely deserves her shine. And as you get to know her a little bit, we'll be able to talk a little bit more about LeRoy and Lewis as a whole, what the journey was like for them to become top 5 in the Texas top 50 list. We're also going to talk about their barbecue class and their patron as well. Make sure you guys listen to the entire conversation because you might have a chance to be able to go to one of the barbecue classes for free. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation that I had with Sawyer Lewis of LeRoy and Lewis Barbecue. So we're here with Sawyer Lewis, my boss, my forever boss. Last time we talked to Evan, and then I wanted to talk to the other person of LeRoy and Lewis because if some people still don't know, Lewis is not Evan's wife. It is Sawyer Lewis, and she is the best. That place would not run without her.
Yeah, it is. I get a lot of hey man, hey dude, Mr. Lewis emails, and I do have 2 male names and 2 last names, so it's easy. I don't take it personally. I'll say that, but it is nice to be known as being me.
First things first, I want to congratulate you guys on not only being on top 10, but top 5 on the Texas Monthly. Honestly, just awesome to watch that kind of happen because the first time I went to Austin, I visited your guys' food truck when Cosmic wasn't even open. It was kind of by the park across the wine thing that they had right next to the climbing gym.
Monkey wine, that crazy.
And then I remember Evan was showing me oh yeah, this space, there's supposed to be a coffee shop and there's supposed to be a garden over here. And I'm like, this guy is crazy because there's nothing here.
Oh man, I remember when we thought that was never going to happen. It seems like that took years. And I think it did end up taking probably well over a year. But we really earned our stripes that first year. We had a super hot summer and we didn't have line power for the trucks. We had no AC. We really didn't have any sort of infrastructure during that time. So, people would have to use the restroom at the gym or at Monkey Wine, you talked about. And it was all BYOB, which was kind of a shit show. We, we're constantly trying to be creative and travel, and we were all over the place. But there was, I think it froze that year. We had a hurricane come through, and it was just a wild ride. But we've come a long way. I also came from more of a foodie kind of fine dining, farm to table background into this barbecue world, and I would hear people in the barbecue community talk about the Texas Monthly list and its power and how important it was. And I think for people that are kind of outside of that circle, or even specifically maybe outside of Texas, cannot fathom the weight that's put on this list. And we opened right after the last list came out, months. I think we opened a month before the last list came out, so we were not obviously eligible to be on that list. And then we kind of missed the opportunity to capture all of those people. Yeah, well, and a lot of people at that time, instead of going out to try new barbecue spots, were trying to eat through the top 50 list.
Yeah.
So definitely an interesting challenge to overcome that period of time. And then it kind of set the stage, and it it was very clear that that was our goal, for the next 4 years.
Just kind of going back to the top 50, or top 10 for you guys. Like, I was really interested to see how much it would impact you guys. I would assume that most barbecue places that serve a traditional menu, you can kind of tell like when there's going to be an uptick in people coming in. But for you guys, it was like just getting people in initially. And I just thought so many times, especially during that month I was working with you guys, I was so confused. I was like, how come there's not that many people who come here?
Once the pandemic happened, I think a lot of Austinites, a lot of local people, where if they were going to go out, they decided to come and eat outside. So we actually saw a pretty big, we were pretty steady during that period of time, maybe more steady and consistent than ever before, which is really strange. I know a lot of other restaurants can't say that. So, we're really lucky in that regard. People were starting to get vaccinated and people were traveling more. People were certainly coming to Austin. We saw a lot of travelers, I would say even before the list. And I think because LeRoy and Lewis is definitely kind of on those lists of like where to go to have a unique barbecue experience.
Barbecue, food truck, all that kind of stuff, right?
All those things, those touristy kind of buzzwords. And, since the list, I think we're just more consistent than ever. We've gotten longer lines, especially in the first, I'd say the end of October, right as the list came out. In November, in the beginning of December, we just were having lines every day. We're seeing more consistent traffic on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and probably early on Fridays. Saturdays are gangbusters all day. We have a line pretty much all day, every day. And then Sundays, depending on the weather, are also just huge. At least till probably like 6 or 7 o'clock. We're one of the only spots in town that's open for dinner. So we see, we have a pretty healthy dinner crowd, especially like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
We're going to cook like 20 more burgers now.
Oh man, we changed a few things in preparation because we kind of knew that we were going to be busier. Daniel Vaughn had just let us know that, we need to be prepared to be busy.
I think most people know that barbecue just in general is very, very difficult. I take pride in being able to work at some places where it's some of the hottest places I've ever worked in.
Yeah,
for sure.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And cooking a ridiculous amount of food, but working at the food truck was something that was completely different. You're opening, having to go to the commissary, trying to load my car full of everything that we need, and making sure you don't forget anything because you ain't got time to go back, and then getting it set up. And just kind of, it was just so different. I think that's why like everyone who works there it's not like, oh, they have that one job and that's what they do. It's like everyone is capable of doing everything, which makes that team and that kind of like that family that you were talking about, it's like legit,
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely a level of accountability that everyone has to each other as much as to Evan and I and Nathan and Lindsay. We work really hard and we expect a lot out of everyone, but we hope people that work for us are also getting like a level of engagement, not only with cooking barbecue and the barbecue community, but also with our guests and with each other, and are allowed to kind of, spread their wings, so to speak, and learn, about the process and learn about daily operations. We're pretty transparent in everything we do. Honestly, I think that I want to be invested in the people that work for us, and I want to see them grow and, continue to do better than where they came from, and it's been really rewarding. Obviously, there's a lot of people out there that have kind of spent some time with us that are doing big things now, and I think that will continue to happen, and that's what we want. We get to work with the best and cultivate the best, and if you're the best, sometimes you're going to step off and do your own thing, and we're not scared of that. Obviously we want to be able to keep people in the family as long as possible. If people are itching to do their own thing eventually, I think this is a great jumping off point. This is a great place to come in and learn everything about barbecue and a lot about business.
Well, I mean, one guy that we wish was back in Austin is Mao in Singapore right now. But
yeah, I know, man, he's crushing it. I think he's crushing it. I know he sends us little messages every now and then, that are super supportive as always. And I know that he's busting ass. You know, I guess the people of Singapore really love their beef cheeks and their barbecue.
Yeah, barbecue always has its trends of like barbecue items that are really popular. People can question where like people are getting inspired that from, but I mean it's clear from you guys, you know.
It's also funny. I feel like we can really take ownership of that because in the beginning people were so skeptical about it.
Yes.
And that's why I think we hold on to that so tight, is because, you know, when Evan had a wild idea to not do brisket every day and do beef cheeks instead.
Yeah.
And I mean, people would come to the truck in the beginning and just be so upset that we didn't have brisket and we had these crazy beef cheeks. And we had to do our best to try to convince them to try it. And, you know, once they tried it, most of the time they loved it.
Yeah.
But we worked hard for a long time to change their perspective on beef cheeks. And now they're everywhere.
I mean, even with the whole hog too.
Beef cheeks every day, early. Yeah, and the whole hog's super good. I mean, I would say the whole hog's probably my favorite.
It's interesting because it's like, even when I was working with you guys, I was like, it's weird that most people outside look at our menu and like, well, that's new, that's different, that's this. But for us, it was just kind of like, okay, that's just what we do. I mean, it was just so strange. Like the first week that I worked there, I was like, this is so odd. And then by like the second, third week, I was like, okay, like what's the next thing?
And I think honestly, since the lists come out, or since people have just gotten more used to this idea of doing unique things and eating unique things, that we don't get a lot of backlash anymore. We really get people that are coming to eat at the truck every day that are gung-ho about the beef cheeks and the hog and, you know, occasional other weird specials, the bacon ribs, in addition to the brisket and the burgers. So I think now we don't have to fight that fight as hard as we used to. And I think that's a lot of people now, we're just the place to go on the list where things are a little bit different. And I think people actually come to eat with us for that reason. In addition, you know, we're a nice complement. If you're on this barbecue trip and you only have a couple of different spots to eat in Austin, I think we're a complement like to a place like Terry Black's or Franklin's, where you can go and have a more traditional experience and then have, you know, more of a crafty kind of farm to table, unique. You're not going to have the same meal. We're also committed to no waste, and like I think that's also unique in the sphere of barbecue specifically. Is, you know, all of our meat comes from local sustainable sources, which I was a little disappointed that was overlooked in the Texas Monthly article. You know, we didn't really get a nod about that, and I, you know, hopefully, you know, the next go around in the future, that can be highlighted more, because I do believe that our animals and our food tastes so good because they're really high quality and they've been treated really well. And it comes from, you know, people that really believe in what they're doing. We're committed to not wasting any of that meat. So sometimes creative things come just out of, you know, the necessity of using them and not throwing them away or letting them go bad. So, you know, you'll see some things on our menu that are definitely come from the fact that, you know, maybe we had some sausage left over. You know, we used the fat, the animal fat in our refried beans, like little things where you're like, what am I going to do with all of this animal fat? Yeah. Right.
Well, next thing I want to talk about, since you got something coming up, is I'm wearing this shirt as well. So we got the BBQU. And nice. I feel like it's my obligation and my goal in life to be your most consistent person at the class.
I know. I will fly you out again. I was going to tell you.
I think this is I think I'm planning on coming on to the one in March, because I think Brad, Evan, and I are also having plans to watch a movie that weekend as well. So we're like, let's put it all together. But I honestly I love going to class because it's not like I haven't seen what you guys do. It's not like I'm learning anything different, but it's just fun. I love that weekend.
Yeah.
You know?
It is such an exciting weekend. It's kind of hard to put into words. You know, I do a lot of trying to promote the class, and in a small Instagram post, it's really kind of challenging to put in all of the details about what we do at the class.
Right.
Because the class itself is definitely like an exciting party weekend of networking. We invited a group of people, and usually they're from all over the country or even all over the world, to join us for the weekend. And most of the time we have some friends and loved ones join us as well. We cook through our full menu. So if you're interested in learning how to make beef cheeks, we trim, season, smoke the beef cheeks, we slice them. Our brisket method with the boat method. We talk about fire management. We do our smoked burgers. We do a whole hog, which is always exciting. Cure and season and case sausage, and then cook sausage. We do everything. We do our meats on our menu from start to finish. People on panels. We've talked about everything from business, social media, kind of creating your own brand.
You'll see other classes where it's like a one-day class, and look, having an entire weekend of it is a lot. It is a long day. And I think the last one, especially that we were at, it was really hot that weekend. So we tried our best to make sure everyone was like staying cool and everything.
Hydrated,
yeah. But like, there's rarely classes that you see something all the way through, right? It's not just, we season this, you cook it for this amount of time, and here it is.
There is a level of camaraderie, though, that I think is really special. And, a lot of love goes into it. We're doing 2 this year, mainly because we wanted to do 2 smaller class sizes. So this allows us to spend a little bit more time with each student, and for them to get to know us a little bit better, and also, while they have a network of other people to get to know from all over. But I remember the first time we did 2 classes, by the end of the second weekend, I was just like crying. I was just exhausted and just like emotionally exhausted, because we love what we do and we put a lot of energy into it, It's
like cool because like I said, we were talking about earlier of like the beef cheeks, and kind of like when you see it pop up, the people who leave your class, their level of barbecue like from home afterwards is it's really good. There is so much detail that is given those classes, and we want people to like stick your head in the smoker. This is what it should feel like. This is what it should look like. Like, you get to do as much of it as you possibly can. And then like you can see it in the end product. Like, it's all over the place,
Well, and it's also it's so interesting to see, now we have some guys that, definitely were like, I'm interested in starting my own business, and I have some recipes and I'm thinking about these things. But I think the class gave them the confidence and the network to really go to the next level. Scotty is like doing his whole thing now. Jeff in Arizona is crushing it. He's selling out every weekend. There's a lot of different guys, and I mean, I'm missing, like, literally I can think of maybe like 50 different people now that are all over the country cooking really great barbecue, and are like, it's financially sustainable, at least as a part-time gig for them. And I think they're learning how to take pictures of their food and tell a story about their food. That's a lot of work, and it takes a community of people behind you to answer those questions when you really need, when you're looking for some support. So that's, I think, the biggest takeaway that's not even built into like, the curriculum of the weekend, is that you have a community of people to go to when you have questions, or when you just want to go on a barbecue trip, or I think people visit each other, and it's so fun to see when people connect kind of outside of Austin. We do a lot of festivals and stuff too. We had former students come out and help us and like be a part of it. So it's really a great connection that I think doesn't end when the weekend ends, if that's what you want out of it.
Talking about former students, you also have 2 people who are former students who are your employees.
I forgot, because they're just so integral now, You're so right. It's such a cool opportunity. Cole, speak of, the best student in the world, the student is now the teacher.
I'm telling you. I remember when you guys were put up that post about that summer internship a year ago. And then he messaged me. He's like, can you write me like a letter of recommendation? Like, I'll just tell them you're interested. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Honestly, I kind of had him in mind. But that internship, it really brought out some wonderful people. And we have some another person that is a secret weapon joining us this spring that also applied for that internship. So we're lucky about that. His name, we will conceal his name until he's ready.
Okay, sounds good.
But speaking of Cole, like, he's such a badass. He's super hardworking. His work ethic is just incredible. But he came to the first class and really got to know all of us. And I think that also kind of inspired him to, when he was ready to make that move, I think he felt confident making that move because he had been around us and kind of understood our dynamic.
Yeah.
But it's very exciting because this year, in addition to Evan, who will be, leading the class, Cole will kind of be taking that Evan's right-hand man role and doing some teaching himself in addition to Brad. But, Brad has a lot on his plate, and I feel like we're always kind of overloading Brad. So I'm excited to have Cole be more involved this year. And then, David, who is also incredible.
He also had like a little barbecue voyage too, because he was at Terry for a bit and then went to Lewis Barbecue and then came back. So it's awesome.
They're both young guys, and while I think they're good at some things and they have experience, cooking certain things, working at the truck, like you said, has, I think, allowed both of them to kind of learn outside of that kind of traditional barbecue job box and continue to challenge themselves. Super proud of all of our guys. But
I had to learn that real quick because, I asked a lot of questions early on and I've been just like, just make sure it stays hot.
Yeah.
All right, before we end, one thing that I wanted to make sure we do is as we get closer to the next barbecue classes, new barbecue U classes, do you have any information or how can people contact you to get signed up?
Well, two fun pieces of information that everyone should know. If you sign up or you are already currently a Patreon patron, we are going to give away a spot. At the beginning of February, which is it's a big deal. It's a expensive spot. So just start up, make sure you sign up for the Patreon in the next week or so. Before the end of January specifically. And then I think Brad, if you're not a Chud patron, I think Brad's also going to give away a spot on his Patreon as well. There is there's a lot of information that I send to you. So if you're interested, my email is Sawyer, SAWYER at LeRoyandLewis.com. The and is spelled out, so LeRoyandLewis.com.
I'll put it at the bottom right here. I'll put it at the bottom.
Send me an email telling me you're interested in more information and I'll send it to you. It is $2,000 a person because we are busier than ever. And we're also adding an elective course. In the last classes, we kind of took a break on Saturday afternoon, especially in the summer classes because it was super hot. This time, because the weather will be beautiful, hopefully, we're going to add some hands-on courses. We're going to break into smaller groups and do some additional hands-on training because that's something that we've really heard from other former students in the past that they're really craving. So we'll do a little bit more business-oriented stuff and some hands-on training during that time. And then I'll send you a plethora of information, where to stay, when to arrive, what we're gonna kind of a simple itinerary, and then closer to the date I send a more detailed itinerary.
What are the two available weekends that are coming up?
So we're doing 2 weekends, like I mentioned, the last weekend of February, which I believe is the 24th through the 26th, or the 25th through the 27th, and then the first weekend of March, which is the 4th through the 6th.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope to share more stories of people that I know, and just because I find that their stories and their contributions are important to this barbecue circle. And as you guys saw in that video, they are offering an opportunity for you to come to one of the classes for free at the end of October or early March. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you follow them on Instagram. You can check out their website. I'll leave in the link down below. And then also make sure you follow them on Patreon. I know we didn't really talk about the Patreon that much, but if you guys are someone who is interested in doing pop-ups or interested in certain recipe development and things like that, they put up a video every week about what they actually do, in-house behind the scenes. It's not like a smoke and mirrors type of deal. They are actually showing you exactly what they do. So if that's something that you're interested in, please make sure you follow them on Patreon and follow along with their journey. So that's the end of this video, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys in the next one.